Born in the night, Mary's child, a long way from your home. Born in the Night, Mary's Child. I don't know if you know that carol. It was written by a guy called Geoffrey Ainger. Now, Geoffrey Ainger was very good friends with my granddad, Norwin Denny, and they were friends as teenagers, and then as they got older, they got ordained in the Methodist Church together. And in 1961, they entered the Methodist Church's first team ministry, along with a guy called David Mason, and they all lived in one house together. So my granddad, along of course with his wife, my grandma, and his 3 daughters, including my mum, lived on the top floor. Geoffrey lived in the middle floor, and then David lived on the bottom floor. Now, on Christmas Eve in 1962, there was a big commotion. This was in Notting Hill, and at the time there was a lot of depravity, a lot of racial tension in the area. And in 1962, Christmas Eve, a big noise kicks off. So before you know it, my granddad, Geoffrey, and David are out on the street to see what's happening. They find bailiffs throwing a family out on the street. They're taking all their possessions, their sofas, their pots and pans, their clothes, and they're just throwing them, scattering them all over the street. Complete mayhem is kicking off, and this poor Nigerian family are suddenly finding themselves on Christmas Eve without a home. They start looking through the stuff, and there, in the middle, sat on her own trunk, is a Nigerian woman nursing her brand new baby. I want you to picture that scene. A Nigerian woman sat on her own trunk, surrounded by her stuff that has just been thrown all over the street, thousands of miles away from friends and family. Anyway, it was inspired by that event, inspired by that Christmas Eve, looking at that woman, that my Uncle Jeff wrote the song, Born in the Night, Mary's Child, a long way from your home. The Nigerian child, of course, never got to choose the circumstances of his own birth. He never got to choose that he would be born into a family that would, within hours, be made homeless, within hours find themselves helpless and in need of someone to come and look after them. They never got to choose that. None of us get to choose the circumstances of our own birth. I, of course, was lucky. I was born to 2 loving parents in a nice home, and okay, we were never swimming in money, but we always had enough to get by. There was always food on the table, and we always knew we were loved. Other people aren't so lucky. If I could have picked where to be born, surely I would have picked to be born in a mansion with a nice heated swimming pool and a home cinema system. But here's the thing, when God became human, couldn't he have picked to be born in the 21st century with 21st century medicine? Couldn't he have picked to be born in a nice mansion with a heated swimming pool and a home cinema system and caviar? I hate caviar, but you get the point. He could have picked that. But what did he pick? You see, it's Christmas, and at Christmas we celebrate the fact that God became one of us. But it's more than that. It is more than just he chose to become one of us. Because you see, he could have picked anything, and instead he picked to be born to those people in that place at that time. Mary would have been about 13, 14, that was the normal age to get engaged in that culture. Joseph may have been a little bit older, say 15. And Mary got pregnant out of wedlock. That was a big deal in that culture. In fact, you could have been stoned to death for it. But even if you weren't stoned to death, your reputation would have been in shatters. We tend to think of the Virgin Mary as pure and holy. Ironically, her own reputation in her own time would have been anything but. Later on in the Gospels, in say Mark 6, they actually say to Jesus, "Aren't you the son of Mary?" That is a very strange thing, because they would have said, "Aren't you the son of Joseph?" No, what they're actually saying is, we know you're illegitimate. We know you're not really Joseph's son. So in other words, Jesus, had that dodgy reputation himself that was passed on, that he was thought of as a bastard with no father. More than that, he was Jewish, in the backwater of the Roman Empire, the most ruthless empire there had ever been in history, and he is part of an ethnic minority in the corner of this empire. So the one person in the whole of human history that could pick where they were born and to who, chose to be born to a poor peasant teenage couple with a bad reputation in the corner of the most ruthless empire that had ever been. Why? Why would he do that? Maybe it's so that people like that Nigerian baby would know that God understands and is on their side. For me, is the true message of Christmas, that God saw us in all our mess. He saw those who had it all together and those who had made a mess of it. He saw those who were morally pure, and he saw those who had done the worst things imaginable. He saw those who were struggling and those who thought they were the best, and he came to us. He came and joined us in all our mess and all our hurt. In an unimaginable mystery, the God who put the stars into space, the God who can command nations as though they're pawns on a chessboard, this God shrunk himself down and was born in the worst of circumstances, so that people like that Nigerian baby would know that he's on their side. And he did it for me, and he did it for you.
Your face lights up the way. Light of the world, Mary's child, born on a darkest day.
For those of you who are paying attention, you'll notice that I haven't put anything on the YouTube channel for quite a long time, and I'm sorry about that. You'll notice that a lot has changed. The background has changed. I'm in a new job. I've got a beard. And that new job is taking a lot of my time. I'm loving it. It's brilliant, but it's taking a lot of my time, which means the YouTube channel has had to take a bit of a back burner. So I do intend to finish the Bible series, but in view of actually trying to put something on the channel, in the new year I'm going to try something different. In church, in both my churches, we're going to be doing a sermon series looking at different words, and so I'm going to tie my YouTube channel into that, and the idea is that I'll kind of do a short version of my sermon as part of the YouTube channel. And we'll see if that works, and hopefully it will allow me to actually get some stuff out. It might mean there's less acting and less things like that, but hopefully it will at least mean I'm doing something, which is better than doing nothing, right? So yeah, God bless, fellow followers. So in editing this video, I realised I never told you what actually happened to the woman. They brought her in, they collected her stuff together, and they were able to help her find some temporary accommodation. They realised this was a big problem, that lots of landlords were throwing people out in order to get more people in that would pay higher rents. And so they set up something called the Notting Hill Housing Trust, which is a charity that is still going. You can read about the history of it and what have you on their website. I'll put a link in the doobly-doo.